The third ITIL v3 basic concept is terminology, fundamental principles, and models. Let's start with terminology. The ITIL glossary covers hundreds of concepts, definitions, and acronyms. All of these definitions and distinctions serve an essential purpose, providing a common and complete enough language. This is why ITIL. When people don't share the same language and understanding, a lot of time and resources get wasted defining and redefining terms and then making and recovering from errors due to a lack of shared understanding of terminology. For example, if I ask you if you have a backup plan for a change and you say yes, I may think that means you have a current snapshot that you can use to restore to a known good state. And in fact, all you may have is last week's backup. We are not on the same page and we will run into trouble. This problem is multiplied when you have a lot of turnover, ephemeral project teams, contractors, and growth through acquisition. A shared understanding of standardized definitions for common IT terms is one of the most valuable aspects of adopting and adapting ITIL. When I work with individuals, teams, and organizations to help them apply ITIL, I often ask if I was to ask the 10 of you what your definition of an incident, a change request, a problem, or an event, or a known error or a service request is. You might all give me slightly different versions of definitions, but if you follow ITIL, there will only be one shared meaning no matter where you are in the company, the country, or in the world. And that's a huge benefit, especially with vendors and teams passing through the organization temporarily and the myriad of suppliers and new starters. A common language shared among support staff, suppliers, and new starters improves communication. It minimizes the overhead and rework caused by having to define and redefine terms and the miscommunication and mistakes that occur from a lack of shared understanding. Now that we've covered ITIL version 3 terminology, let's look at the 7 foundational principles and models of ITIL version 3. First, value creation through services. It describes how value is defined by customers to an affordable mix of features, and it's a function of what it helps them achieve in terms of objectives and at what cost. Compared to alternatives, we mentioned the 4 Ps as part of essential concept number 1 because it parallels the 4 dimensions of service management in ITIL 4, but it is also a fundamental model in ITIL version 3. So we repeat it here as you'll want to commit it to memory, people, processes, products, that is technology and partners, also known as suppliers. These are the 4 Ps of implementing service management. You can think of the 4 Ps as the correct scope of consideration for anything in service management, from a change to a project to a risk. Any questions are better considered with this scope in mind. In ITIL v3, the 5 aspects of service design are services, management, information systems and tools, technology and management architectures, processes, and measurement methods and metrics. As you can see from this list, ITIL version 3 takes a holistic view of service design. The ITIL version 3 6-step continual service improvement approach asks, what is the vision? Where are we now? Where do we want to be? How do we get there, and did we get there? And also importantly, how do we keep the momentum going? Taking these steps helps ensure that the right improvements are initiated and the wrong ones are not, and that improvement is continual. ITIL version 3 covers critical success factors, or CSFs, things without which something, a service or a process, for example, cannot succeed. And key performance indicators, or KPIs, the most important metrics used to manage the success of CSFs. For you and I, for example, for our health, one CSF is blood, and KPIs for blood are blood pressure, blood sugar, and so on. For the change management process, a CSF is that change is under control. And some KPIs include things like the number of backed out changes and the number and trend in emergency changes. Baselines are snapshots, for example, of a service or a process recorded at a specific point in time as a primary reference point for later comparison. These are vital, for example, as a reference point when troubleshooting and as a basis for restoring to a known good prior state. Lastly, in ITIL version 3, we collect technology, process, and service metrics. Think about it. It's very typical for us to collect technology metrics, for example on what the storage capacity on array has been. But in service management, we are concerned also with services and the processes that underpin them. So we collect and manage these metrics as well.